You're listening to the B2B Revenue Executive Experience, a podcast dedicated to helping executives train their sales and marketing teams to optimize growth. Whether you're looking for techniques and strategies or tools and resources, you've come to the right place. Let's accelerate your growth in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome, everyone, to the B2B Revenue Executive Experience. I'm Carlos Noche, and I'm joined by my always interesting podcast partner, Lisa Schnarr. How you doing, Lisa?
Doing great. Yeah, it's been a fun day.
Awesome. It's a chilly one here, which means it's even chillier by you. It's all perspective.
Yeah. I'm in the Great White North. We expect it here.
So, folks, today we're talking about how AI, generative AI, can align B2B marketing and sales teams for revenue growth in 2024 and beyond.
And to help us with this topic today, we have Nathan Schlaffer. No, I'm going to do it wrong. Schlaffer.
Yeah, you got it.
Schlaffer. There we go. I asked him before the show, folks, but I knew I was still going to get it wrong. Schlaffer, Nathan Schlaffer, CEO and founder at MarketMate AI. With over a decade of experience as a marketer and at B2B technology and SaaS companies, Nathan loves the process of empowering B2B marketing and sales teams to reach their revenue goals, achieve consistent messaging, and hyper-personalized content at scale with innovative AI-driven solutions. Nathan, thank you so much for joining us today, and welcome to the show.
Thanks, Lisa. Happy to be here.
Awesome. All right, Nathan, to warm us up, we ask the same question to start. What is something that you're passionate about that those that only know you through work might be surprised to know about you?
Oh, I love to cook for fun and recipes, whether it's Mediterranean, Italian, Chinese, stir fry. I'm a foodie by heart.
Now I'm hungry.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm thinking about how pathetic the sandwich I just had was.
Oh, no.
You know, one of those rushed ones where you're like, slap on some ham and mustard and, oh, there's a pickle. Let's throw that in there.
It gets you. What's in the fridge?
Yeah.
Let me put them together.
Right. Yes, the kitchen sink sandwich. Yeah, that's what happened. But yeah, I love all. It's funny because I love all those food shows, but I love them for a combination of the food and the travel. So it's like, yeah. I was just watching Restaurants on the Edge on Netflix last night. So I don't know if you've checked that one out yet, but they actually go around the world and they find restaurants that are suffering, but are in beautiful locations with beautiful views.
Wow.
And so it's about the food, but it's about the place and the restaurant. It's very cool.
That sounds fun. That's amazing.
We are in no way affiliated with Netflix. that was just me. So Nathan, tell us a little bit more about you. What obviously you've worked at a number of places now. You've founded your own place. Like what was the story that led you here?
So my passion was always for technology and marketing. Just like many B2B marketing leaders out there, I started out as a product, in sales and marketing for B2B tech companies. And I started to notice like a lot of patterns is, hey, let's enable our sales team. Let's train them on the personas. Let's create our value proposition and our messaging and our positioning. And then afterwards, let's create a go-to-market strategy and an ABM campaign. And I was like, I keep doing the same things over and over again. And then when I saw ChatGPT come out, I was so excited. My coworker and I were both working at a German SaaS company. And we were like, what if we could use this to be more productive? But we had some limitations, which were prompting's hard. It's not easy. It's like you don't always get the results on the first try, and you have to provide a lot of context to really get the result you want. And then B2B is such a unique area where you have buying committees and decision makers and influencers and champions. And if AI doesn't understand that context, how can it possibly be productive for B2B marketers and salespeople? So that's when we started MarketMate AI. We went through this journey last year of, hey, let's build a better version of ChatGPT, but trained for B2B that understands your buyer personas, that can help you with messaging, and then can basically boost your productivity and help those sales teams ramp up quicker so you can have quicker sales cycles. You can help them understand your audience faster, because that was one of the challenges that I saw at tech companies I saw is like, hey, how do we ramp up our sales team faster if we have a new seller? How do we train them on our personas? How do we get them equipped with the right qualifying questions to ask to uncover the needs? And then that's why we built MarketMate, to help with those things and use AI, but in a much more curated, trained way.
So Nathan, tell me a little bit more. Let's go a little deeper on MarketMate. How does it exactly work? And is the use case, is a primary use case onboarding new salespeople? Because I would think there'd be a lot more use cases we can throw out it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really a holistic framework for B2B sales and marketing alignment. So we have a 4-step framework we created. We call it LEAD. So we start by getting an AI model, training it on your buyer persona. So we use AI to learn what are the job titles, what are the pain points, what language do they use. Once the AI model understands your buyer persona, our second step is enhanced messaging. So we use the AI that's been trained on your audience to create a value proposition for your persona. So it takes into consideration what are the benefits of your product, what are the features of your product. So if you're a SaaS company, maybe it's time savings through automation and you have a workflow that's automated. So we have the AI enhance your messaging, create your product positioning, your value propositions tailored for each buyer persona. The third step is what we call automate and personalize content at scale. So now that the AI understands your buyer persona, let's say it's a VP of product, they're looking at a software and they're looking for product release management software. The next step is let's create a value proposition. And the third step is, okay, now let's use that foundational knowledge to create a press release. Let's use that foundational knowledge to create a sales pitch. So it creates all of your content for you and automates it in minutes. So you don't have to spend hours or weeks drafting content from scratch and training someone. This is who our audience is. The AI remembers that. And then the fourth step is drive sales enablement, but with guardrails. So one of the things I saw at B2B SaaS companies is, hey, people start to talk about the product differently as your company scales, as you launch new products. One of the problems is people get confused when there's inconsistent messages. Maybe product talks about it this way, marketing and sales talk about it differently. That's where that consistent messaging comes in, because then you can use AI to do things like, let's say you have an SDR team, it can develop qualifying questions for them to uncover pain points because it already knows your personas. It can write their prospect email sequences. It can help create that persuasive elevator pitch for your next trade show. So those are the use cases. Unlike other tools that are just like write me an email, or you can use ChatGPT for that. It's automate my entire workflow, automate my sales enablement, automate my marketing projects so I don't have to develop content from scratch, and do it in a way that resonates with my buyer personas. So that's what really makes us unique.
So companies have all sorts of sales methodologies, like the one that me and Lisa represent, is
Yeah.
incorporate that into the AI, right? Because when you think about, hey, these types of questions, these types of buyers, obviously that relates to all of them. But
Yeah.
the question types and the sequencing of it kind of gets impacted a little bit based on your strategy behind it. How does the sales methodology play into the mix?
Yeah, great question. So there are a few popular methodologies out there. Solution selling is one, challenger sales. So what we've done is we've taken a few of those frameworks, like for example, BANT, asking questions about budget, authority, need, timeline, asking questions about, hey, how many employees do you have? Do you struggle with this need when you're asking those qualifying questions? And then for our email sequences, we've trained it on best practices for sending email sequences. Keep them brief, keep them short, focus on a pain point in the subject headline. Always have multiple follow-up emails, and then each one needs to focus on, maybe you talk about the pain first, and then you introduce the value proposition. So our product is tailored for B2B, and that's something that's kind of unique to us. We've executed some of those sales methodologies by implementing the tactics into our model.
So, Nathan, that's really interesting, and it definitely sounds much more productive. But it begs the question for me, because do you ever have a challenge in your own business development in people like enablement or marketing people who might do a lot of this stuff now, feeling like they might be replaced by Market AI?
That's a really valid concern. Is hey, what my perspective is, AI won't necessarily replace people, but people who know how to use AI will replace people who don't know how to use AI. And I'll give you an example with ABM campaigns. Traditionally you create your target account lists, you segment your market based on need, you create your messaging for each of the segments, and then you use a platform to automate that outreach. Well, now with AI, one of the things you can do is, hey, now I can use an AI platform like MarketMate to create all my content for each of those audiences. What does that do? That saves you 2 or 3 weeks from time to revenue, because now you don't need to start from scratch. So part of it is, how do we streamline and make your workflows more effective and faster? I still think there needs to be a human to review content at the end of the day before we click publish, because there are risks with AI. One is hallucination. One of the ways that we've helped with that is, hey, you can actually cite your sources. You can actually feed it sources. But that's something you will always need a human being on the other side looking at the context of, hey, will this be published to which audience? Let me make sure that the language is accurate, and let me make sure it's fine tuned for them.
Yeah. Okay. Good. And then, because the other thing I was just thinking is like, how are you with market? I know how other platforms do this, but with Market Made AI, how are you ensuring that when there's a human reply to a campaign, that it doesn't send a message assuming there's been no reply? You know?
Yeah, yeah, great question. So we handle the content piece of the drafting of the emails. For the actual sending of the emails, that's in the human's control. So
Okay.
you can use your platform like HubSpot or whatever prospecting tool that you use,
Outreach, sales
Outreach,
loft. Yeah.
Salesloft. Yeah, you can control
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it really is just
Yeah.
not just. I don't want to make it sound like it's not doing a ton of the heavy lifting, but you are. It's helping you with the content piece. Will it help you build your sequence, and then you would like copy and paste it into?
Exactly. Yeah. So
Okay.
that's essentially how it works. Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. And so does it help with because you were saying about crafting questions, but a lot of the time when we're onboarding new specifically when you think SDRs that are not, like earlier in their careers, we're reliant on some call scripts for not just for the content, but also for things like objection handling. So I guess like part of me is thinking this is going to help you with content, but are you also able to use Market Made AI to generate almost like a playbook?
Absolutely. Yeah, so we have a feature called sales playbooks. So
Okay.
that's a wonderful question is we start with, here's your audience, here's some good qualifying questions, and then here's the email outreach. One thing that you have the capability to do is, let's say some of the questions might be met with an objection. Like, here's an objection that typically comes up. Like, you say your platform does X, well, what about Y and Z? And then you might want to say, well, here's my proof point for why we overcome that objection. You can actually use the software to create an objection handling document, for example. So there's definitely some flexibility there. One of the beautiful things is because it understands kind of how to ask these questions, you don't have to start from scratch. And what I've seen in a lot of companies is there tends to be like those one or two people that are just experts at the product. They've either been in the industry for 10 years, they know the product inside and out, and they're stretched thin. And you have a new seller, and you're like, hey, can I just borrow some of your time to transfer your knowledge to my new sales team? And it's hard. So what we've done is with MarketMate, we can train it on the nuances of your customer, on their pain points. So when you have a new seller, it's like, hey, let me use the software to train you on who the audience is, what the trends are, what questions to ask, so you can save a lot of time and ramp them up faster, not feel overstretched as the company, because that's a big concern for sales enablement.
All right, so let's get a little techie, which I'm not. What AI engine are you using behind the scenes?
Great question, Carlos. So we use multiple. So we use OpenAI's ChatGPT LLM. We also use Cloud, which is from Anthropic, who's a competitor to OpenAI. We don't just rely on one LLM. We want to bring the best in breed technologies into a single platform. Another thing is prompting is a nightmare. So we don't make our users prompt. We just have inputs. Describe your product, describe what it does, and describe who your audience is, what their pain points are, and bullet points. And it takes plain English and it does the prompting on the back end. So you never have to create a prompt. You just use the software and it works.
All right. And then are we relying, so as we configure this thing, are we relying on the client to tell you what their differentiators are and what the pains are that they're addressing?
Yes. So it takes those insights from the client. These are the pain points, and then it remembers them and then uses that when it tailors content for those clients. Target
Okay.
audience.
How much does it take into like industry trends and terminology within industry? Like, the words that we may use for oil and gas might be different than what we use for a software company or a retailer.
Right. That's a really good point. Is, let's say you're a manufacturer selling to oil and gas, maybe safety and downtime are really important, or industrial grade reliability. Or if you're selling to transportation, maybe it's, how reliable or efficient is it? Or if you're selling to software, it's completely different. So what our AI does is, for each of the vertical markets that you're going after, it learns the language of those personas, so that the keywords it brings up, the topics, the trends, are always matching what that industry cares about. So you don't end up with generic AI sounding content because it lacks that context. It actually tailors it for your vertical.
Now, is it tailoring based on us manually telling it the pain points, or is it tailoring it based on outreach and going, hey, let's use this in a tone of voice that someone in oil and gas can resonate with?
It's a combination of both. So the AI models it draws on have been trained on public information, and also the input from the subject matter expert goes into it. You can say, here are some key trends to pick up on or to train it on. I'll give you an example. This morning, I was on a demo call with a company that does basically marketing for ABB. And one of the things that they brought up was, for our customers, one of the big concerns is that robots will replace people. So when we're selling a robot to a manufacturer, it's like, hey, I don't want to be replaced, man. But it's kind of an interesting conversation because you're trying to sell them a robot that you don't want them to think this can replace me, but this is going to help me be more productive. So one of the nuances that MarketMate picked up on is, hey, this will enable you to do more and be more successful and maybe even get promoted at your job if you can successfully implement the
Leverage it,
so
yeah.
so it can really pick up on those nuances for each vertical, and it's pretty impressive.
Okay, so we talked about how this enables enablement to train up new sales reps or even existing reps on new products, new segments, new industries they're going into.
Absolutely.
Does it do that real time? So in other words, I'm an SDR. I spent 2 weeks in training. A whole bunch came in one ear and a whole bunch went out the other. Now it's 2 weeks later. I finally got someone from oil and gas on the call. Man, it'd be really good if I remembered what questions to ask them.
Yeah. One of the beautiful things is it remembers and it integrates with like G Drive or Microsoft. So you can pull up all those questions and have them available during your call. So
That's great. So it's kind of like battle cards, like is it the same as you could make for helping to train on different competitors or the rest of the market, or what else might be in there?
oh yeah. So I used to develop, battle cards in my product marketing days, SWOT analysis. Let's look at the strengths,
Yep.
weaknesses of each
Oh
competitor.
yeah.
From a feature, from a service perspective, maybe they don't pick up the phone. And we were way more responsive than them. You can create your own custom content types. You can say, hey, I want a battle card comparing these competitors. Here are the strengths and weaknesses. Read it for me. It'll create a battle card for you.
Perfect. So I guess, when you do think about how people are feeling, same with your robot story, like how people are feeling about AI, and I don't want to get into a whole security thing, but I assume you've made some steps to make people comfortable in planting their potentially proprietary information into Market AI and ensuring that it will stay trademarked or stay safe.
Yeah, one of the concerns is, hey, if this is my value proposition, I don't want my competitor looking at my messaging or my strategy or having this understanding of my customers. So one of the things we do is because we are a software SaaS product, we give a dedicated environment to each customer where they control their data, they have their data saved, and only they can access it. So that's one of the advantages is, hey, if I want to protect my information, I can have a dedicated private environment for my instance of MarketMate and my data.
Okay, so all the data I feed it and I'm leveraging, it's my own instance. It's not, none of that's public, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. As as we think about AI evolving, so far we've talked a little bit, well, I guess both sides. We talked about how it helps marketing, right? Because it can help them create that messaging and push that messaging out to sales. We talked a little bit how it helps sales. Any other ways that it kind of helps sales drive adoption or improvement?
Yeah, so the biggest thing is being able to resonate with the customers, and it's your first 90 days, you want to be able to speak the customer language, generate interest in book meetings. If you're an SDR, if you're an account executive, you want to move the deal forward from interest to proposal to close as quickly as possible. So part of that is really having a deep understanding of the customer use case, their application, especially with tech products. It's really important to understand the nuances of not just what my product does, but what does the customer care about? Who cares what the product can do if it's not relevant to what I need? So
Agreed.
if AI can really understand those nuances, like your subject matter experts, it can help you and be a companion or a sidekick to write that email that creates that discovery call meeting. It can be that sidekick to create that elevator pitch that helps you uh, nurture an opportunity at a trade show, or that sidekick that can really help you close that deal faster. So really our perspective is if you speak the customer language, you resonate with them, you address their pain points and their needs in a concise way, you can move deals faster and you can be more successful. That's how the software helps sellers be more successful and onboard faster. For the revenue executive, like the CRO or the VP of sales, it will help your company pivot strategy faster and onboard reps faster. And what I mean by that is, what does the typical sales enablement cycle looks like? You create a bunch of training materials, you host a training, then you look at the results, and then okay, it's 3 or 4 weeks later, and now your people are selling and creating opportunities. What if you could reduce that to a week? What if you could really cut the time it takes to onboard a seller? And this is one of the tools that really enables you to do that because it learns your customer and it can transfer that knowledge to your reps.
Obviously, organizations have gone from weeks on end of training to make it less, 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 and less. Ideally, it'd be nice if we give them a short training about the tools and what it is, and maybe some scenarios that they could practice, but then allow the tool to stay with them throughout their first 90 days, 2 years, what have you, to help them get there. Because what happens is we throw too much at new hires when they first come in. Is that how
Yeah.
your people are using them?
Yeah. So typically, new hires get overwhelmed because you're learning through the fire hose.
Too much, yeah.
Yeah, maybe you have a dozen products, or you just have to know about so many different audiences and it's overwhelming. One of the ways that companies are using MarketMate is if I can go back and have an AI and actually say, okay, let me review the personas again, make sure I'm tailoring this email the right way. Let me look at the email template sequence it created for me so I can draw on that and learn from that and kind of have this playbook, like what Lisa said. Then you could really reduce the cognitive overload because you have this point of reference you can always go to throughout your journey as a seller. Another thing to account for is change. Is hey, things change over time. Buyer personas change. Your market
Yeah.
evolves. Trends change. One of the challenges is there's a disconnect where marketing's moving at a certain pace and sales wants to go faster. And I've seen this across a lot of organizations are like, we're not churning enough content. We need this one pager quick. So with MarketMate, it will enable them to deliver content to you faster so that you have the sales tools you need to actually win those deals. And it also enables you to refine faster. So let's say you have a persona, your personas have changed. Well, now I can use the software to refine and change my personas. Now it will remember it. Now the content will change. So it reduces that content development from weeks to minutes. So that's really kind of the advantages and things that could help with.
So Nathan, what kind of success have you seen with your customers? I'm assuming
Yeah.
it's AI, so it's not like, hey, we've been doing this for 20 years and here are results.
Yeah.
Where are you in your life cycle and what kind of success have you seen?
Yeah, so we've been around for about a year, but since our launch, we've had companies say, and these are marketing directors say, "Hey, we cut down our content development from 2 weeks to 2 days. Like it's been incredible, the time savings." And then for sales reps, it's like, "Hey, I don't need to be a marketing expert. Maybe you're that company that's growing rapidly and you're just building out your marketing team, and you have maybe one or two marketing managers, but hey, I need leads and I need leads fast so I can meet my quota." This has helped them essentially produce 10 times more content in the amount of time they have, which has resulted in 20% increase in the amount of leads they generated and more revenue as well. So this has been an incredible experience. You can check out our G2 reviews. We have 5-star reviews from the people that have used MarketMate. But basically, it's been an incredible journey so far. We're still at the early stages, and we're always listening to try to improve the product, make it better.
Awesome. It sounds very cool. And so I guess knowing that you're at an early stage as well, and you're learning a lot about who you can help and how. Do you have an ideal client profile right now? Is there a size or an industry of company that you're looking to work with over and above someone else? Not to say that you won't expand that.
Yeah, definitely companies that are scaling and growing with 50 or less employees. What I find is those companies that are scaling really have that challenge of, hey, we're just building out our marketing function and we need something to help us scale.
Right.
And those companies have been a lot of them in manufacturing, a lot in software as a service or fintech. So typically, like those are the companies that need a product like this because they're going through the motions of enabling sales, developing their messaging, scaling their company. So those are kind of our ideal customers. Mhm.
Excellent. And so I guess clearly a collaboration between you and other people, other founders or whatnot. But how are you as a team ensuring that you're staying up to date with the cutting edge, like the speed at which that this is all changing?
Yeah, so we're subscribed to all the major AI providers like OpenAI. We attend their dev conference. We keep track of Google and their latest announcement with Gemini, which is really exciting, providing AI that you can talk to, which will be pretty extraordinary for marketers and sales team in the future.
Yeah, yeah. I was just thinking we learned about something kind of interesting. It was like an AI powered role play platform.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, and I'm totally blanking on what it's
Brevity?
called.
Was it
Uh,
Brevity?
no, I think it
That's the
was
one.
like,
I thought that allowed you to kind of practice out your sales, basically.
yeah, maybe it was. I thought it was like something learn something anyway, or second chance or second learn anyway. And I'm sorry to that company that I'm butchering it right now, but it was really cool. We saw a little bit of a demo of it when we had a whole, I guess, talk at our conference about AI. And Jeff Pedowitz, who is also here on the podcast, runs a consulting company who
Oh, I know
helps
Jeff.
company. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So he helps companies figure out this whole AI thing. And so, yeah, it's just thinking and listening to you talk and like how your vision for market AI is like that could be something that you incorporate into your functionality in the future. Is like not only will we build you the objection handling playbook, we'll let you practice it with AI.
That's actually a really clever use case. It's like, hey, if you can act like the customer and accurately
Yeah.
reflect your questions, I can bring you through a simulation to help my SDRs be more effective on those calls. That's clever.
Right? I only
Yeah.
required 25%.
That's
Just
really
kidding.
clever.
Well, Nathan, we would love to talk to you all day, but we have a few questions we like to ask specifically new founders because you're a year into this, you were in the corporate world for a while. What's been one of the bigger missteps or mistakes that happened? Not just with this, of course, like any time along your career or your personal life that our listeners could learn something from, that you learned something from, that you're obviously comfortable sharing.
Yeah, of course. I think part of it too is really listening to what the market is telling you and being very adaptive to what one of the mistakes or missteps I made early in my career was making a lot of assumptions about who would like the product and why and what the message would be. But I launched the product and I find, wow, a completely different group of people like it and for a completely different reason and use case.
Right?
Uh, and that's been my journey with MarketMate as I started, with large SaaS companies with 500 plus employees. And I realized the people that are raising their hand after podcasts is small businesses. They're people that are scaling, they're in growth mode and they need marketing. And that is their pain point. So adapting my targeting, my messaging, and building stuff for the market as opposed to just, spray and pray. It's really important to be successful as an entrepreneur.
The voice of the customer.
Yep.
All right.
Absolutely.
So one last question, we call it acceleration insights. What might be that one piece of advice, be it business or personal, that you would love to share with our listeners that would help them achieve their own goals and be as successful as you are, Nathan?
Yeah, really, 2 lessons: learn yourself and know what you're passionate about, and find something that doesn't seem like work. When you work, like, if you're unsure, let's just say you're that 20-year-old and you're exploring, what you wanna do, you're trying different things, really try a lot of things if you're not sure, and try to nurture, "What am I passionate about?" Some people, as you know, like, in B2B, there's so many different domains you can do. Maybe you're more of a salesperson, maybe you're more of a marketer and you like to tell stories and great messages. Really knowing yourself, your skills, and what you love to do, that's going to lead you to your success. If you can find the intersection of those things, don't try to live in a way that, hey, maybe this is good because it makes a lot of money. No, do what you're passionate about because that's not sustainable.
Right. And actually, I love that, Nathan, because something I've told a lot of people coming up in their careers is the flip side of that, which is if you don't know what one thing you're passionate about, as you try things, understand what you're not passionate about. And, so it's like, okay, as I grew my business, it was definitely, there's a lot of things I can do that I have done, but that I don't really love doing. So as you figure that out about yourself, it's like the process of elimination, right? Is like, okay, I thought I wanted to do demand generation. Turns
Yeah.
out I kind of hate writing those campaigns. I need Market AI to help me write those campaigns so that I can set up my demand gen. So yeah, it's a really good piece of advice.
Yeah. Totally relate to that, Lisa.
Yeah, we're all just out here figuring it out.
It's a process. It's a lifelong journey.
It is a lifelong journey, and it changes as we change. So awesome. Well, Nathan, thank you so much for telling us about this today. If a listener is more interested in learning more about Market AI or yourself, what's your preferred method of communication? Where can they find you?
Yeah, so multiple ways. You can find us on LinkedIn, or you can visit our website, www.marketmateai.com. And essentially, if you started with AI, maybe you've dabbled with ChatGPT, but you think you can get more out of it, please schedule a call with us. We'd love to have a conversation and see how we can help you do more with less and accelerate your campaigns.
There we go. Awesome. Well, cannot thank you enough, Nathan, for spending some time with us on the show and giving our listeners some great advice. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Lisa, Carlos. Hope you guys have a great day. Thank you so much for having me.
Our pleasure. Well, everyone, that does it for this episode. Please check us out at www.b2brevexec.com. Share this episode with your family, your friends, your coworkers, your colleagues. You can subscribe through YouTube, Spotify, or Google Podcasts. You can pretty much find us anywhere you listen to your podcasts. And if you like what you hear, please do us a favor and throw us a 5-star review on iTunes. I am Lisa Schnarr, and joined by my ever delightful Carlos Noche, podcast partner in crime. And until next time, we wish you nothing but the greatest success.
You've been listening to the B2B Revenue Executive Experience. To ensure that you never miss an episode, subscribe to the show on iTunes or your favorite podcast player. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.